Welcome, everybody, to the PhDJ Podcast. My name is Mike.
Yes, and this is Joe Bunn.
And we have a very, very special guest with us this week. Say hello, Alan Berg, everybody. Welcome.
Hello, and hello, gentlemen. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thanks for being on. I wrote down some bullet points to introduce you, and we usually aim for about 20, 25 minutes on this podcast. I could spend the next 25 minutes just singing your accolades, and then we'd be like, thank you, good night.
Good night. Right.
So I'll just throw a few out there. You are a second-degree black belt in karate, correct?
Taekwondo, yes.
Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. An accomplished musician, Alan. I have watched you play on Facebook over the last year plus many, many times. I had no idea. As long as I've known you, I had no idea you had such amazing skills on the piano. And you're a heck of a dancer, too. I've seen you dance, and you can ballroom dance and sweep women off their feet. And, of course, you're a great presenter, marketing guru. I don't know what else I can say. You are, and I know you say this on your website, you're a suburban Renaissance man. If anybody asked me, do you know a Renaissance man, I would say Alan Berg. Alan Berg is the closest I know to
that's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, just so well-rounded and so many interests and everything else. I honor that. I think it's great, Alan.
Well, thank you. Well, you didn't see my DIY projects over COVID?
Oh, what were those?
So I'm actually a DIY guy and a woodworker. My garage is filled with tools.
Yeah.
I have like my desk here. I redid the whole desk with paint mixing sticks, and it looks like reclaimed wood. And then there's my language stuff and yeah, and my real accolades are I'm a certified speaking professional and one of only 37 global speaking fellows in the world, but who cares about that, right? So,
no, that's care. Interesting.
That's how we know you.
But all the other stuff just makes you so.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons. Like Alan and I have gone to lunch a few times and had conversations at conferences, and it doesn't even have to be about the wedding industry because you are so well rounded and you have so many other great interests. But because of our listeners are DJs and a lot in the wedding industry, we are going to focus on that today, right, Joe?
True. Yeah, Alan has been instrumental in I would say helping not only myself but Mike and our businesses. Mike and I've seen him literally speak all over the country at different things that we've spoken at or just attended, and that's how we really knew Alan originally. So yeah. So ironically, and if I'm not mistaken about the backstory, talk to us a little bit about what is a relatively new project, even though you're probably rapidly approaching the number of podcasts Mike and I have, even though we've been doing it 4 years and you've been doing it for 4 months. Am I correct in saying that pseudo producer of this show, Richie Stedman, led you to Wedding Business Solutions, which is your podcast? Talk a little bit about that and what's going on with that project.
So I've thought for a long time about podcasting. I have all the equipment here because I like going on other people's podcasts because I get in front of their audience. Yeah. Right? Every time you guys get on, you get in front of your own audience, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys are each going to be on my podcast. You will then be in front of my audience, which exposes you to other people. So that was my marketing plan.
Sure.
Up until last year, as you guys know, I used to travel a lot. I mean, a lot. 2019, I flew just United Airlines 140,000 miles. I was away 178 nights, some of them with my wife. So I wasn't, and she cherry picked, right? So she was with me in Maui. She was with me in London. She cherry picked where to go.
She's not dumb. She's not dumb.
No. But she wouldn't go to Australia. I was in Australia twice in 2019. And she's like, you know what? We have to fly to California and then fly 15 hours.
Right.
Have a good time. That's what she told me. Have a good time. So with my traveling, I never wanted to have that commitment of the podcast because in my head, what is that commitment going to mean? You guys know that because you've been doing this for 4 years. Mm-hmm. So with COVID, a lot of things have changed. I haven't been on an airplane in 15 months. I didn't go 15 days without being on an airplane before. Mm-hmm. And Richie called me up. I think he messaged me first on Facebook, and we have mutual friends besides you guys. He was a roommate of Rob Ferre in college, and the little thing. And he said, can we have a quick call? I said, sure. And I do this with people. I had a guy call me. I was out on my walk this morning. Can I ask you a question? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And he said, Alan, I could listen to you all day long. I can't believe you don't have a podcast. That's exactly how he started. And I said, well, Richie, here are some of my concerns. He said, well, let's talk about this. And one thing led to another. And I said, you know what? I could do Clubhouse, I could do Facebook Live, I could do this, but the podcast allows me to record whenever I want and have it go live at a different time, as opposed to I have to be there like Clubhouse every Monday. Somebody has to do a Monday and Thursdays. I'm sorry, first and third Mondays at 10 a.m.
Right.
That's a commitment of time. I'm not going to be able to make all of those. Guaranteed. I told you that. I can't make all of those. So what I decided was, I do a blog every month on my website. At least I used to. Why not just do it this way? Why not just talk about something? And I know you guys get this as well. You get your topics from just listening, right? Just listening to people. That's where I write my articles. And I would sit down. I've written 5 books. I would sit down and write a 1,400 word blog. You know, people like, 300 words, it's so hard. I'm like, yeah, it's actually harder than 1,400. Let me tell you that. And I would sit down, because you guys have written articles, right? Write me 300 words. What? No, I need more than that. I need more than that. So I said to Richie, okay, let's do this. He said, you want to have 3 in the can when we launch April 1st. So one afternoon, I had one appointment and it canceled. I had the whole afternoon. I just turned on the camera. I had a thought. I made a list of topics. And I recorded 5 episodes. So I said, whoa. And then I changed my shirt. And then I recorded 5 more episodes. And then I changed my shirt. I recorded No, I didn't. I don't.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were like marathon, like you were sweating. You were spoken.
No, I didn't want to look the same in every episode.
I got you.
Like I only have I have a podcast shirt, like my lucky podcast shirt.
Right.
Yeah. So, Mike, I did 15 episodes that afternoon,
and all by yourself. That's one of the things I honor because Joe and I, at least we have each other to bounce off of, but so you just spoke for. And what is the average length? I've listened to a few, but do you
10 minutes?
Do you have a goal? So 10 minutes, you're looking to get in, get out, make your point.
I'm without the intro, outro, I'm anywhere from 7 to 10 or 11 minutes, except for my guests. When I have a guest on, I let it go longer. My guests have gone anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. Right. Again, still not really long.
Joe and I have the same goal, 10 good minutes. We usually fill another 15 or 20, which is stupid
bullshit,
shit.
Talking about Cowboys.
But there's usually about 10 good minutes
right.
of our podcast.
But that's part of it. Without having somebody else there, I have to focus. And the other thing, a lot of people
you can't ask yourself how your weekend was. It kind of sounds weird.
But I've been doing webinars since 2007. So think about that, right? That's 14 years when you had to explain to people in 2007 what a webinar was. You couldn't do video because the bandwidth wasn't there, right? So it was just me talking over slides. I'm used to talking without being able to see the audience and having nobody else there.
Good point.
I've been doing this for 14 years. And one of the things that makes me unique in the industry is speaking is what I do, right? It's not the other thing that I do in addition to what I do. Right. Speaking is what I do. You guys are great speakers, but it's not your thing. It's part of who you are, right? But it's not the thing that you do. I study the craft of speaking. I go to conferences for speakers. I work on this stuff. So turning on a camera and talking to the camera for 10 minutes, that's nothing. It's just this stream of consciousness for me. Right. So I actually got a very nice compliment from someone who's a wedding show producer, Don Freeman, right? You know Don Freeman, right?
The bridal show guy now.
Bridal show guy, right? Wedding show guy. I've known Don for years as well. And he called me up and he said, I just want to let you know, you had a guest on, and I know that you knew everything that you asked them, but you asked them in a way to help us like you didn't know, right? But that's a skill. It's like moderating a panel is a skill. Don't present when you moderate a panel. Right. You're supposed to make the panelists look good and stuff like that. Right. So, I just turn on and talk. But my topics are easy. Who just pulled me into a Facebook conversation of X? I just turn on the camera and talk about that.
Yeah, if you listen to this podcast, I pull most of the topics I think about from either DJ idea sharing or one of the Facebook groups. I see somebody talk about something and I go, oh, that's a great idea. Joe and I will delve down on that.
Right. Or I'll pull mine from Richie Stedman.
Right.
And then take credit for it.
Right. I pull mine from consulting. I'm having a conversation with a client and I'm like, you know what? Who else has this problem?
Right.
Love it.
So besides speaking, Alan, you are a prolific writer. Do you have a number of how many books you've published?
I have 5 titles published. 2 of them are in their second edition.
Right, and then right back there.
Yeah,
conveniently right here.
Smart. Yeah.
And then I don't like the fake backgrounds because you disappear into them, right? Mm-hmm. But one of my COVID wins, if you can call it that, was last year. I published 2 special editions of Shut Up and Sell More. One for DJs and one for caterers and venues. And that's something I had thought about doing. And I try not to use the phrase, I didn't have the time, because it's just about prioritizing my time. It's not about having it.
Right. Yep.
And I said, you know what? If I ever can prioritize this, I want to take my Shut Up and Sell More book, which is my most popular book by far, and take all the references that bounce around from DJ to photographer to caterer to dress shop to officiant to whatever, and let me make them all for DJs and entertainers and photo booth and lighting people. And let me make it all for caterers and venues, because that's really all it was. The content was the same, but all the references, if I said photographer, you guys would have to think, okay, let me twist that a little bit and make that into DJ.
So that's the book. I think I told you, Alan, a number of years ago, I bought 3 copies of that book. Chris, Dominic, and myself in the office, we basically read like a chapter a week, and then we would meet every Monday and talk about it. So that's the one. And I don't think I was aware that you basically rewrote it for DJs. So now I'm going to tell our listeners, don't get the volume 1, but go out and get the one specifically for our industry.
Right.
Give our listeners, there you go, the Disc Jockey edition. Give our listeners something, a tidbit that they might get out of that. Obviously not everything, because you want them to go buy the book, but
sure,
what's something that they might learn from that book? Because I think that book is golden.
I do too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The big thing is that DJs are very comfortable talking on microphones, talking to people. The most important thing in sales is listening. You don't learn anything when you're talking. Right now, the 3 of us are not learning anything about ourselves, but we're learning about each other. Right? People learned from you, Mike, that I played the piano. Right? They didn't know that. You didn't know that till you saw it online.
Right.
Listening is where you're going to find out what the customer needs. So think about this. I don't know anybody in the wedding and event industry that for weddings does cold calling. Nobody, right? You don't just go like knocking on doors. Hey, is anybody getting married in the house? You don't do that. Meanwhile, when I started in the wedding industry, I did that to you guys. I drove around in my car and I knocked on doors trying to make sales, right? That's very different. By the time you get an inquiry, what has already happened? They've already gotten engaged. They've already said, I need music, entertainment, MC, DJ, whatever, lighting, photo booth, whatever it is for my wedding. They've looked at all the possible choices in the venues that they're looking at. And I say venues, I meant like the media that they're looking at. So Wedding Wire, The Knot, Facebook, Google, Instagram, whatever it is. And here's the most important part. They've eliminated most of the things they've seen. Right? What is Tinder? Swipe left? Is that the bad one? I think it's swipe left. Nobody ever wants to admit. The married guys never want to admit.
Yeah. Heard of this Tinder. I don't know anything.
Okay. Right. Well, for those of you, so they have eliminated most of the choices. Now, some of it is self-elimination. And what I mean by that is, let's say that particular couple is looking on fill in the blank, Wedding Wire, The Knot, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and you're not there. Not in any meaningful way. You have a free listing at the back. You're not there at all. You haven't been updating your stuff, whatever. You've eliminated yourself. Mm-hmm. They are looking at that particular media and you've eliminated yourself. Same with the wedding show. If you don't go take a booth in the wedding show, you're not a choice that day. It's like opening a menu. You're not on the menu. That's what it is, right? And then other elimination is your choice, again, placement. Are you at the front? Are you at the back? Do you buy the higher listing? Have you updated your listing with new photos and stuff? Are you doing the right things to make yourself the most attractive? Like fishing, right? You have the best bait, right? You want to have the best bait. Mm-hmm. So by the time you get the inquiry, they've taken all the DJs out there and said, no, maybe, no, maybe, no, maybe. And you could be one of 3, 5, some of them it might be 7 or 10, but most it's not. Most it's like a 3 to 5 kind of a choice. You're in that small group. So think about that, right? Mike, here in New Jersey, there's a few DJs. There's a few DJs.
There's a few within a square mile of my office.
Right. But there's also 60,000 weddings a year in New Jersey. Okay. Sure. Right. And Joe, there's a few DJs around where you are. True. And being real honest, and you guys I know will agree to this, there's some good DJs out there.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
So when you get the inquiry, think about all the DJs that didn't get that inquiry. Like you just got the coach that said, "Hey, suit up, you're in the game," and the other people are outside the stadium wondering if there's a game going on. Okay,
Yeah.
So I think one of the most important things to this book is that you don't have to make a sale. You have to help them buy the results that only you can give. Right? If Mike and Joe were both going after the same wedding, whichever one they choose, they're going to get great results, but they're not going to be the same results. Right? Everybody can have a crate from Joe, and you have the same songs. Right? I can get Joe's your setup there, gorgeous. I love what you've done there with what you do with the wedding. Right? I could buy that. Right? That doesn't make me Joe. That doesn't make Mike Joe if he buys it. So what you're selling is not. And I see this, you guys see this all the time, the bullet point list, right? Let's go with the bullet point list. State-of-the-art sound system, 100,000 songs, professional DJs, you're dressed professionally, right? I take that list and give it to every DJ in the world. Don't sell that.
I was actually thinking about that term the other day. Is state-of-the-art sound system even a thing anymore? Like, does that mean anything? I don't. I was looking at some of our marketing stuff, and I'm like, get that off of there. I don't. I can't imagine that. No, anyone cares about that. You
know what it means. There was a guy at Guitar Center named Art. Right, I think that's what it was. What's the state of the art? Right. Yeah, so art. Hey, there you go over here. Yeah, it's meaningless. It's meaningless. I was doing this photographers conference in India. Right, I'm in India. There's 400 wedding photographers, and I said, how many of you use Canon? Hands go up. I said, how many of you use Nikon? Hands go up. And how many of you use Sony? And hands go up. And I said, nobody cares. And they all start laughing. And it's like if I said, who uses Serato? Right?
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, right? Who uses EB? Who uses JBL? The truth is, you care, right? Like I know a photographer that she just changed to Fuji on her camera, and I said, "Why?" She goes, "Because it's lighter."
Wow.
She says, "I'm getting older,
and
I don't want to carry that big, heavy camera anymore." I said, "Have your customers noticed?" She goes, "Of course not. Of course not." And if you chose to come with X speakers because they are fill in the blank, they're lighter, they're better looking, they're whatever it is that matters to you, great. Right? I watch the conversations that happen in the DJ groups on Facebook, and people talking about subwoofers and stuff. I'm like, or somebody was talking about how many speakers in this room. I was like, there's a right and wrong answer for you, but not for everybody. Right? Not for everybody. So don't sell the stuff, sell the end result. You guys ever talk about Simon Sinek? You guys know Simon Sinek?
Yeah.
So Simon Sinek has one of the most popular TED Talks ever. Start with Why. It's also the name of his book, Start with Why. And he shows 3 circles: how, what, and why. Right? Concentric circles. What, how, and why. They need what you do. They need a DJ. They need an MC. They need lighting. They need a photo booth. They need that stuff. The how, they think you have that figured out, right? If you're a professional DJ, you should have that figured out. Some people might ask you some of the technical stuff. Most won't, okay? But the why, the core why is, why should I have you? And when I say you guys as multi-ops, it's not you, the company, it's you, right? Why do I want Mike? Why do I want Joe? Right? Why do I want any one of your particular DJs? Because I saw them at a wedding. My friend was at a wedding that they did. They have their personal brand as well. So when somebody comes to you, what you need to find out is kind of what they already know, so you don't start telling them again. But what do they not know that they need to know that you're the right choice? And that's why the subtitle of the book is Ask Better Questions, Listen to the Answers, and Grow Your Entertainment Business. Right? We have trouble listening. Right?
In 80% of the seminars I give, I put the slide in and it says, shut up and listen. And I put your name under it. It's got quotes.
There it is.
Yeah. Shut up.
Shut up and sell. Yeah. Well, and let, being honest, and I hear this from a lot of my DJ clients. There's a few DJs that have a little ADD. Some have a lot of ADD.
It's kind of common in our industry. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Isn't the association the ADDJA? Is that it? Is that what it is?
It should be.
So listening is hard. Joe, you have kids, right? Being present with your kids is hard when there's all these other things going on between devices and other people and noises and stuff. Being present is hard, but people can tell when you're not paying attention.
Yep.
People can tell when you're not listening.
Yep.
And people can tell when you don't care about what they care about. And was it Franklin Roosevelt who said people won't care how much you know until they know how much you care?
Yep.
Right, something like that. That's the most important thing in this book. I mean, the preface tells the story of the title, which, by the way, my wife, right, and Mike, you know, Carol, my wife is like, you can't call it that. And I was like, no, I have to call it that. She's like, no, you can't say shut up. I said, no, it has to say shut up. So I had gotten into, just like I got into this industry, I fell into this industry. I had fallen into the car business because a friend of mine's father bought a Chrysler dealership. That was the scientific way of I got into the car business. After I graduated college and hated what I thought I was trying to go into, and here with my magna cum laude college degree, I'm selling cars. My parents were so happy. Except what was the first car I sold? My mother, right? My mother. Mike, in Queens Village, right? On Jamaica Avenue in Queens Village, right? So
that's actually the town my mom grew up in, Queens Village.
Wow.
That's where Carol grew up.
Yeah.
213th Street. That's where she grew up, 213th Street.
I don't know the street number. I'll have to get that from my mom.
Okay. So long story short, Chrysler had this competition for product knowledge. They started competition. I was the national winner the first year they had it.
Wow.
And the second year and the third year and the fourth year. But after I won the first one, I go back to the dealership feeling pretty good about myself. I'm selling cars. My manager comes over to me one day. He goes, Alan, you know more about these cars than anyone I've met in 20 years in the business. I go, thanks. He goes, good. Shut up.
Jesus.
Right. And I said, what? Why? He goes, you're telling people things they don't need to know. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you had this couple and you told them whatever. I said, yeah, well, they needed to know. He goes, they never asked you. I said, wait, they didn't? He goes, no. And then you had this lady in before and you told her this. I said, yeah, well, she needed to know. He goes, she never asked you. Mind you, this is the most formal training I ever got in the car business that day.
Right.
And what I realized was, have all the information, put it in your pocket, and take out only what you need when you need it, right? If they ask about something, tell them, right? And I tell people now with COVID stuff, right? Should you tell them about your COVID procedures? If they ask you, right? If they don't, if they're planning a post-COVID, no mask, no hand sanitizer, no colored bracelets wedding, let them plan that with you. And if they say, by the way, Joe, you know, what are you guys doing in terms of COVID? I'm so glad you asked. And then tell them. So we have too many people in the business that want to go through their script, right? And a script is great for training, right? You guys are both multi-ops. You train people. You have great programs for that. The script is not like an actor who's going to read the same exact words the same way every time, right? Because the matinee crowd is supposed to see the same thing that the evening crowd sees. No. These people are different. These people are different. And if they care about dance floor lighting, let's talk all day about dance floor lighting. And if they care about monograms, if they care about dancing in the clouds, whatever. But if you start talking about dancing in the clouds and they're like, you know what, I think that's the cheesiest thing ever, you've just changed that dynamic away from you and they're going to find somebody else. And that was your fault. So, so the most important thing is, let them tell you what they need. So I have real questions in here. I mean, the actual wording of questions to ask them. One of my favorite questions is, what have you seen at other weddings that you definitely want at yours? And then don't suggest anything. Right? But then you have to ask, what have you seen at other weddings that you don't want at yours? Because that's really the more important thing. Right? That's the more important thing. Mike, I've heard you talk about this, the do not playlist, right? That whole thing. And I remember you posted one time, it doesn't matter if I hate the song. If they want the song played, unless it's crossing whatever line, you don't want to cross, you're going to play it for them, right? You're going to play it for them. And that's because in listening, you know what? It's their event. I love the post you do, Mike. This is my view of 1,000 weddings, right? And there's behind the speaker. There you go. My homepage on my website, thank you, Joe, for putting it up there, is a picture from behind me on stage at Wedding MBA. Show the audience what's really important here. They came to hear what I have to give. I have to appreciate that every time. I remember speaking for the DJ Association in Washington, D.C. one time, and they didn't have a big budget. So I said, listen, if I'm in town, we can work it out. And I come and they had rigging set up and they had lights and a stage and all this stuff. And they had seats for probably about, 50, 60 people, and maybe 20 people showed up. Right. And I got up and I did my thing. And afterwards, the president of the association goes, Alan, man, you just brought it. I said, I only have one level, right? I don't, if one person came, they get 100%.
Same thing, right?
If 100 people come, they get 100%. That's it. That's what we do, and it's never about the paycheck. That's why I like to get paid before I do an event, because I don't want to afterwards like awkward moment of, ooh, you have to pay me now. No, that's done. I'm here. I'm going to give you 100%. If I do it as a charity thing for a group, same thing. It's 100%. So
I love it.